Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Potsmoker's Bible. My name is Zion. I'm the author of the Potsmoker's Bible, which contains the prophetic book of Zion, where I get my name and authority. It comes from the Ketuvim, or Old Testament of the Christian Bible. I use the King James Version of the Bible to put together the book of Zion, which is a book of prophecy. It contains the prophecy of Israel, known as the prophecy of Zion, because that's what it tells. And the prophecy of Zion is what led me to the unicorn way. I had to learn what first the Bible, which is where I started, what it had to teach me. And I, of course, started out with a religious concept. I was a Christian. So I began with the Bible. I read the Bible. And it teaches you many good things. But it also confuses the hell out of you. Because it's two separate things. The Ketuvim, or Torah, the Jewish text, that was handed down to us from the grave. And, well, from the unicorn way. From the unicorns. But they gave us the prophecy. Now, Christianity, the New Testament, was necessary on different levels, as all religious texts are. And it teaches us a separate concept from the Old Testament or Ketuvim. But we have to begin with the Ketuvim because that's where the prophecy is. Now, the Ketuvim teaches you, well, the prophecy teaches you, that all religions are related. There's one passage, and all it takes is one. There's one passage that says that the temple of Zion, the temple of God, in the latter days, would be a place of worship for all people, indicating that all religions would be practiced there. So, my first step on the unicorn way was to learn all religious doctrines of the earth. I literally studied every sacred text, and it opened up my soul and my eyes in a way that nothing else on this planet can. So, when you attain stillness, as I told you in my last episode, you attain the doorway to the higher evolution. But in order to get to that doorway, it requires much more than just silence. It requires understanding, which is the application of knowledge. So you must learn. I learned by literally reading all of the sacred texts that I could find on the planet, studying every religion that stemmed from them. And I found in each one a core philosophy that when added to the others, oh my God, created a body of knowledge within me that prepared me for the unicorn. Because it guided me through all the pitfalls of life. It taught me how to navigate. It literally taught me how to be still. So, by reading all of the sacred knowledge that we have of spirit, which is religious text, you open the door to the spirit, where magic resides, where everything resides, where reality resides, was created from. And magic really is nothing more than the ability to manipulate time and space through will. But in order to do that, the will must be refined. You have to be solid in what you are. You have to be complete in your knowledge. Any gaping holes in knowledge would just allow darkness to enter, which would corrupt your path and ultimately make you fail. But failing is a decision, and if you choose to never fail, you can only get a do-over. And reincarnation is a do-over. If you die, that means that you get to do it over again. You messed up and you get to start over. Karma teaches you that when you do a bad thing, it counts. And when you do a good thing, it counts. And at the end of your life, all of those good things and all of those bad things tally up and decides where you go next. The Tibetan Book of the Dead teaches you what happens next. It teaches you what happens when you die, how you are lost in the quantum field where everything is becoming actual, so that every conceived soul that becomes an embodiment is there on that plane. And that in order for you to evolve into that higher being that we all want to be, we have to avoid those lower life forms that are fucking amok, making babies. Because if you think too hard about those babies, you'll become one of those babies. So you have to learn to navigate death, become a medium. And all of that knowledge is contained within all of the different books of religion. Now, in Zion, the first thing, well, it's like our scholarly priests, their job will be to amass all of this knowledge and to put it into a final form that will be the sacred text of the earth, because it will contain within it every sacred text on the planet. That is how we unify religion. Stop the religious dissent. Stop prejudice. All that goes away when we combine all of the sacred knowledge into one. And I did that by reading all of the sacred text. And at the time that I had to do it, when I was doing that, I had to cross-reference and take out all that stuff, that fourth part of us that's not white, snuck in there, to confuse us, to keep us bound to the lower form. So, if you want to become a unicorn, you have to master religion, pretty much. Because religion is the basic knowledge of spirit. Now, when you take out the concept of worship, the whole concept changes. If it's not about worshiping somebody who is higher than you are, that changes everything. Because you're no longer putting all your faith and belief in somebody else. You're learning how to become that something else by mastering all the steps in between. And we do that through all of the sacred texts because they each contain a lesson or 5 that we must learn. So, in Zion, we'll take all the lessons of all the religious sacred texts out of those falsified religions that have been corrupted by the darkness, and we cross-reference, and that's how we get rid of all that. Because if every core religion has within it the basic knowledge of all of the religions, and then a core issue that it deals with, well, then you can take all of these references to the broader belief that is contained within each text and bring that out of all the clutter that we have associated with it through the centuries. Elevating that knowledge, rejecting everything that doesn't fit. And what we get when we take all of those sacred knowledges from all of the religions on the planet and we bring them all together, we will create a new book. I call it the Word of God because it literally contains every word of God left to us from the former age. And so to begin the unicorn path, you must become a priest. Because to become a priest is to study all of that spiritual knowledge and to apply it for the good of others. Therefore, reducing your bad karma and generating good karma, generating light. So we study all of the sacred texts to learn all of the basic, fundamental principles of spirit. And that leads us to a doorway, the next evolution of our species, the unicorn way. So to begin, you must decide that you want to take the unicorn path. And to begin that process, you start to reject all negative things. Now, when I say all negative things, I don't mean that you literally, if it's not positively good, you don't touch it. No, an inanimate object is an inanimate object. If it's a gun, it's not bad, it's just a gun. How you use it, how you apply it, is what counts. And that's part of what you learn through all of these religious teachings. Now, our religions have embellished through the centuries. We call it dogma, rituals that no longer even have a meaning to us, but are so ingrained in the religion that the people do it without thought, believing that it's necessary. Which is part of the fallacy of why we can't have this worship thing going on. Because you can't become something if you're worshiping it. So religion, like money, is a big stop. It stops you from evolving into the next stage because it tells you that you can never be. You can only bow down to that thing, that God. And you are at that God's mercy. That's not how spirit works. That's not how evolution works. And that's not how life works. But to understand that, you have to learn it. So, if you want to be a priest of Zion, if you want to walk the unicorn path, if you want to evolve into a magical being, capable of God only knows what, start to read the religious texts of the planet. And you have to read them all. Now, my priests will help me write this book of knowledge, the Word of God, that will lead you to that unicorn way, that will teach you how to become a god, because that's what this is about. It's not about worshiping anybody. It's about becoming somebody that people like us worship. So, come walk the unicorn path with me. May the Grey watch over you, guide you, protect you, keep you from all harm, teach you right from wrong, and may you be worthy of them. They are our highest evolution on the physical plane, so they deserve our respect. Let your thoughts, words, and deeds reflect truth, good, and light, which is the unicorn way. Find your joy. Live your joy, be your joy, and spread your joy. That is the unicorn way. Stay happy and high. Know I love you. Later. I'll never say goodbye.